So what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be doing an actual ZEX EFI wet nitrous install. This is for the V6 Accord 2008 to 2011 or present. This is an intake port system. Right now what I'm going to show you is actually what I've done so far. I'm going to skip a little parts, but I already made the holes for the brackets for the nitrous. I am going to run a 2-bottle system. I'm going to show you underneath, from underneath. I use a clip where I ran the nitrous. I just cut it through it and I ran the nitrous line through it. The clip is that little hole that you see on this other side. It's in the passenger side. You can use either one, but I use this one because I'm going to run one line from this bottle underneath through the carpet around here through the spare tire. I'm going to connect it to here to run one straight nitrous line to the front. So as you can see, I made holes through the carpet, bolts. They're still loose. I haven't bolted them down, but I am going to show you the bolts from underneath the car. This is going to be the driver's side. This is directly underneath the exhaust. Let me let the camera adjust. Okay. So this is the exhaust tip right here. If you look straight up, once this camera adjusts, you see the first bolt. The other bolts here, I haven't pushed it through because my assistant hasn't got in here yet. So I need help to hold the carpet down so that the bolt can go through and I can screw in the nut. The other two are directly above the hangers for the exhaust. Those two are already threaded in. The way I'm running my nitrous line, I'm going to show you through the top. If you pull your carpet through your side, at the very bottom, once it's adjusted over here, I'm going to show you. There is, hopefully you can see it, a little vent there. I'm pushing the line through the vent. That's the safest spot that I can find that the nitrous can go through. So it goes from the small hole all the way into the vent that you see there. This is again from the exhaust tip, looking straight into, you're gonna see the vent that's there. This is looking straight at the bumper. That's the sky up there, that's the roof. So if you look straight up into the exhaust, you're gonna see a little vent there. That's how I'm running my line. And I already started fishing the line through the actual system. When I'm running, if you actually look at this is your rear tire. You have the little coat hanger in the back. I fished out it through it. When I fished it all the way through the top, over the control arm, which this piece right here, this is actually solid, so it doesn't matter that it goes on top because that's not going to move anywhere. The only part that moves is the actual lower control arm, which is, well, that's the upper. Whatever this arm is, it goes up and down, but it won't affect that line back there. So what I did is I actually ran it from there all the way across. If you can see it through that little silver piece, and I ran it through the top over that little green, I don't know what that is, but whatever that green plug is, right through the actual subframe, the cross member in the rear, right coming out of the tank. And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to run it directly to the brake line that you see here, and I'm going to follow the complete brake line as far as I can forward, and I'm going to push it in through there, and then hopefully it can come off on the other side. But I am going to run my line through here. Alright, so this is a continuance to show you how I ran the fuel line. I'm still in the process, but as you can see here, it's, right here, right in front of me. I ran it from, like I told you, underneath the plastic. I don't know if you can see it from there, hopefully you can. I ran it from the plastic, and I'm running it down the actual lines or whatever the fuck it is over here. Alright, so I ran the nitrous line from the bottom of the car. Came up. One issue with our cars that you're going to run into, you see this holes right here that's popping out. This is actually our fuel hose. It has a very solid plastic piece inside of it. You actually have to cut it and then get go buy another set of hose of this, another like maybe half a foot, and you're gonna run this over. The new hose is gonna run over this little plastic piece, and you're gonna put the actual the fuel bypass system right here into it. Once you put it inside of it, you do the same for this portion right here, as you can see, which is right this hose. You're gonna splice it the same way you're gonna splice. I spliced it here. And that's it. So everything's connected. I pre-assembled the nitrous management system, Teflon tape on all the connections. I made sure the Teflon wasn't anywhere near the actual output or input of the nozzles. Now I'm waiting for the hose so I can connect the fuel line. Then I'm gonna show you how I installed the actual nozzle for the intake. Alright, so this part was a little tricky. The instructions tell you to use an 1132. I don't have that, so I ended up using a 5/16, which is a little bit smaller than a 1032. And what I ended up using is basically I drilled the hole into the intake. This is the actual way it's gonna sit. The system sits like this. You can't see the nozzle until you go to the other side, and it's gonna be the nitrous port there. Now after you make the hole with the actual 5/16, you actually have to use the actual 1/8 tap that comes with the kit. Alright, so I ended up using the tap that came with the kit. This is the actual tap. This is a 1/8 tap. The way I had to use this, it's a very awkward socket. I don't know if you guys have one or what, but I ended up using what we use for our rear calipers, the positioning the actual piston back where it's supposed to. Since it has the same socket, what I did, I just basically got the tap, the 1/8 tap, and put it into the actual hole, and it fits perfect. And then with a lot of pressure pushing downward towards the intake, you actually screw it in. You tap it. You actually tap it. It's very easy. It's not that hard. Either way, this is the way the nitrous port looks inside. In front of the mass flow sensor. That's one of the most important parts. It does have to be in front of the mass flow sensor. As you can see inside, the nozzle, the silver piece, the actual opening is facing me in my direction. That's very important. You have to install the actual nozzle in the direction of airflow, meaning the intake. This is where this connection right here is the actual throttle. So you have to install the nitrous nozzle in this direction so that the nitrous shoots this way. If you go that way, it's gonna mess up this, and it's a whole mess up if you install it going this way. And if you install the nitrous port behind the mass flow sensor is gonna get damaged, and to replace that, you have to get a new one. Alright guys, so this is the continuance. The nitrous kit is finally installed. This is a 2008-2010 Honda Accord ZEX install video. Our Accords have a heat shield directly beneath both exhausts on the V6. Basically 4 bolts. They're 10 millimeters. You just have to unbolt it. It comes off. Once you drill the hose, the brackets go there on each side. You have to be careful when you're drilling the hose. This portion right here that's closest to the actual the spare compartment, this is actually your subframe, about 3 or 4 inches of it. So you cannot drill your hose in these four sections, in this 4-inch section. The reason why is because if you drill the hole, you're just going to make a hole into a subframe, and you're not going to be able to actually grab the bolt because the hole is inside the subframe. To connect line to line on both bottles, I use a 4 foot what's called a 4/8N line. I basically went underneath and ran through there all the way across, and then just basically went up through there. I didn't drill this. I actually cut it with the razor, and then I just connected the line to a T-tap. I bought this from ZEX itself. It's basically a T-tap. That's all it is. This is the final finished product of the fuel line adapter that I made. I did get a 3/8 high pressure fuel line, and I also, with the T-tap that comes with the kit, I basically stuck the new adapter, which is, this is a new tube right here, and also on the other side, about 2.5 inches on each side with new tubing. Inside this fuel line, or the OEM one, there's actually a plastic tubing. Or our lines in our cars are actual plastic fuel lines. So all it is basically rubber housing, and in the inside there's the actual physical fuel line, which is plastic. So you just basically get a razor blade, you carefully cut out, make a little line through it, and remove the rubber housing. Be careful because the plastic is very, very easy and very prone to getting cut. So just make sure that you cut it slightly and softly and slowly. And once that, get about 1/2 inch or 1 inch of plastic rubber tubing on each side and on the other side. Once you do that, the new 3/8 line basically slides in very easily. I did use 2 clamps on each end where the new adaptation, new connection was made, just so that it's secure and it's not going to go anywhere. I did the same thing on the back, so it's all secure. Okay, the T-tap, I ran it from there all the way down underneath, and then I just connected it to the back side of the actual ZEX module. Second, that's the bolt. This is the transmission bolt that you see right here. That's the only way that we can mount this kit. There's literally no space and no other location that will work for our cars. I did have to get a drill bit and basically drill out the hole on the actual module, make it a little bit wider, and the nitrous lines. And from there, I pushed them down underneath the garments down here. This wire in the engine harness is right there. I pushed them down there. There's nothing there that's going to cause any damage to them, so it's safe in there. And from there, I just ran them up into the actual intake port, which this is fuel and this is nitrous, and make sure that the actual nozzle is facing, the actual opening is facing towards the intake manifold system. This is actually our throttle positioning sensor. It's right next to the throttle. You got some right on the side. Now at first we thought it was the blue wire at the very end, and that was actually the output voltage wire. It's not. It's this first red wire. And thanks to a Cooper Drooper from My 8 Gen, he helped me out, and we made the decision that this was actually the actual kit for the voltage. And it definitely is. It did work. I already tested it. So that's basically your only thing that you have to make sure is you got tapped in. From my car, since I have an alarm, running the wire through the car, I use the loom that they used for the wire, for the actual wire for my alarm, and to the firewall. And there's one wire for the nitrous system, and remember the white wire, that's this from the management system, is for the throttle positioning sensor. You have a ground wire, which you can barely see it, but I actually connected it here. This is the battery, negative battery, and that's my ground wire for my nitrous kit for the management system. Everything was run really nice and clean. And basically the red wire that's on the nitrous kit, you have to run it on the management system. You run it inside the car into the actual the fused connection that comes with the switch. Once you run that, that's basically done. Then you get the red wire that does not have a fuse, and you run it all the way to the front. I ran it to the battery and you can run it to an accessory mode more than 10 amps or 12 volts. But I have everything running to my battery. This is my HID fuses, but this is my wire right here, and it goes underneath through the side of the battery and all the way through there. Then I basically tie strapped everything to the harness, and you cannot see it anywhere around my whole setup. So everything's done pretty clean.